Good afternoon, my name is Terence Scott, and I'll be giving you a brief synopsis on Muammar al-Gaddafi. My specific goal today is to inform the audience about the life of Muammar al-Gaddafi from his birth to his rise to power as militant and dictator. Libya is on the continent of Africa. It's 1969 when he took over. It's the year 2009, so he's been in power for about 40 years now. It's a long time. Now, Gaddafi presided over a lot of massacres and a lot of atrocities, but this one stood out the most to me, so I want to spend a little time to give you a little background, a little history, and tell you the outcome of it. This is called the Libyan Prison Massacre. Now, this happened on June 29, 1996, in the Abu Salim prison. And the reason that this happened is because you had 1,600 to 1,700 inmates trying to fit in 112 cells. An average prison cell is only like 5 by 5 or an 8 by 8, so you can imagine how they felt trying to squeeze this many prisoners in this few cells. So they caused an uprising. The prisoners were upset because of unsanitary conditions, lack of food, lack of water, lack of medical attention, so they decided to riot. They decided to have an uprising. They took over the prison, they killed a few guards, and then Gaddafi heard about this. So he sent his Revolutionary Council Command over, his intelligence agents, to find out what was going on. When he figured out what was going on, he told them, hey, look, if you relinquish control of the prison, we'll concede. We'll give you what you want. But, you know, Gaddafi being Gaddafi, that's not what happened. He tricked some of the inmates who were injured during that time. It was about 100 to 200 inmates that needed medical attention. He said, hey, come get on my bus. I'll take you to get medical attention. But what he did was he took them around back of the prison and he shot them. He hired conscripts to shoot them. And he gave them a choice. Either you shoot them or I'm going to shoot you. For the rest of them who were not shot, they were taken to the back of the prison and then had hand grenades tossed at them. So they were blown up, and then the rest were sniped off from guards that were sitting on top of the prison. But they also looted the corpses. They went inside the pockets, took rings, watches, glasses, and other valuables, and then they also confiscated their personal belongings, blankets, radios, or anything that was of value, and then they took those belongings and redistributed them to the inmates as they came in, the newer inmates. So not only did they take their stuff, but then they sold it. So in 2001, Gaddafi finally came out and said something happened, but he didn't take responsibility for it. He said he would investigate it. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the Lockerbie bombing. Some of you may have heard of this because it was in the news recently, but if not, I'll refresh your memory. It was concerning this gentleman, al-Megrahi for short. The Lockerbie bombing happened at Pan Am Flight 103, and it was bombed December the 21st, 1988. Now, it was 243 passengers, 16 crew members, and out of those 243, 190 of those were Americans. The flight was on its way from Heathrow, London, to John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. And the reason it's called the Lockerbie bombing is because it was blown up over Lockerbie, Scotland. So they named it the Lockerbie bombing. Al-Megrahi was convicted and sentenced to life in prison in Scotland. But this is where the double slap came in. On August the 20th, 2009, not only did this guy was convicted to life in prison, but then he was let out. The government of the Scottish government said, hey, he has cancer, he has less than 3 months to live, let's go ahead and let him go back to his family. That was one slap. The second slap was that when he got back to Libya, Gaddafi and his son gave him a hero's welcome. He had a parade and everything, even though he had killed all these innocent people. Now this was significant because this was one of the first terrorist attacks on civilians. Before that, they were targeting military targets, but now they actually went and targeted civilians. Now, obviously, Megrahi wasn't the only person that was involved in this, but he was the only one convicted because someone had to sneak into the airport, place bombs on the plane, and then as it goes over Scotland, they blew it up. Now, in conclusion, we may have many problems and gripes with the United States government, but one thing the democracy we represent in the United States prohibits is the rise of a dictator to take the reins of power. Gaddafi has been a de facto leader of Libya for 40 years, and he rules Libya by the oppression of opinion and the installation of fear. Some people love him, but most hate him. His arrogance and stubbornness has brought about strict sanctions from neighboring countries which is stifling the growth of Libya's citizens and economic potential. Thank you.
Very good.
All right.